esteemed guests, and Vietnam veterans. We gather here today to commemorate the sacrifice and commitment of Australia's defence personnel in the Vietnam War, to create an opportunity to recognise the bravery and sacrifice of our very own Vietnam veterans. It has only been 56 years since the first Australian troops travelled to the unknown land Vietnam, and it has only been 52 years since the harsh battle of Long Tan took place in Vietnam's jungles. Today is our chance to give thanks to those who showed true determination and courage in these times of conflict, and to all those who made the ultimate sacrifice. The Vietnam War was a long, costly and divisive conflict. The conflict was intensified by the ongoing Cold War between the United States and Soviet Union. More than 3 million were killed in the Vietnam War. The type of war fought by the soldiers in Vietnam was a new experience to the Australian troops. Australia had never encountered jungle and guerrilla warfare like the one battled in Vietnam War. But the way the soldiers fought was something to be admired. Although the Australians trained in a wet, muddy landscape in the Northern Territory, the soldiers still entered a wetter, more muddy landscape full of jungles, something that hadn't been experienced. To fight the way they did is something to admire and to respect. The Vietnam War was one of Australia's major military engagements post-World War II. And then, in 1972, our soldiers returned from Vietnam. When I learnt that our veterans came home to no ceremonies, marches or parades, unlike the public recognition and acceptance that had been experienced almost immediately after other wars, I was quite shocked. Shocked to think that our nation turned a blind eye to our very own soldiers. Shocked to think that the first Welcome Home commemorative march didn't happen until 1987, well over a decade after their return. To think that although the war may not have needed to involve Australia, those who returned were still our very own Australians who deserve to be thanked and acknowledged. As a 15-year-old boy growing up in a rural community, most of my early memories of commemoration ceremonies focused on the Anzac tradition, the shores of Gallipoli, and other stories of the world wars. Also being a child of a serving member of our Australian Defence Force, I feel more of a personal connection to those who serve, and this increases to my level of awe for these soldiers. When I first learnt about the Vietnam War, I admired our soldiers and their attitudes towards a war Australia probably shouldn't have been a part of. The 521 soldiers who gave their lives and the 3,000 soldiers who suffered wounds for a completely different country speaks in volumes of the nature and attitude of our soldiers and creates a vivid picture of our soldiers being true heroes of our nation. Aspects of the Vietnam conflict are known to the younger generation of Australians through its presence in popular culture. Songs by bands like Cold Chisel and Red Gum have shown the controversy and personal costs of the Vietnam War in ways that are accessible to young Australians today. There is an Australian film, The Sapphires, which uses that era as its setting and brings issues back into focus for all generations of today's society. One specific thing that has occurred to me through learning about the Vietnam War was that many of those who served our country were only a few years older than me. As someone who has never experienced war, I cannot imagine fighting in a war as harsh as the one that took place in Vietnam at an age similar to mine now. Those who did serve in Vietnam are amazing role models to my generation and to many generations to come. Their bravery, commitment, hard work and sacrifice is an inspiration to all, young and old, present and future. As a representative of young Australians, we should all strive to uphold these values in our everyday lives and to continue to represent our country in the same way as those who fought for us. Today we reflect and recognise what was done in Vietnam and give our thanks to those who served and fought for our country. To give thanks to the servicemen and women who played an important role in shaping our nation as we know and love today. As a young Australian, I feel proud and honoured to recognise the brave men and women who fought for our nation. They gave so much and gave themselves unselfishly to the needs of our country and made the ultimate sacrifice, lest we forget.
Lest we forget.
Thank you, Scott. Very well done.